The Discover Montcalm podcast is brought to you by WGLM 1063 FM, Be More Media, Busy Bees Embroidery and Vinyl Signs, West Michigan Technology and Design Solutions, and DW Video. Welcome to the Discover Montcalm podcast, where we are going to look at the communities, the businesses, the attractions, and the people that make up Montcalm County. Here is your podcast host, Cara Stevens.
Hello and welcome to the Discover Montcalm podcast. My name is Cara Stevens. I'm with M1063 WGLM hometown radio station, live and local. And we are here today with one of our partners, Trevor Wright. He's with Montcalm County Veterans Affairs office. He's in Stanton. And Trevor, can you give us a little background on how you got involved with this? I'm sure you've been in the military. I've seen your pictures on Facebook. You're all camoed out.
Yep. Yeah, so I left the National Guard in 2018, and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of veterans being helped, and before that I worked at the Montcalm County Commission on Aging.
Okay.
Actually, so we dealt with a lot of elderly veterans, and some of them were in pretty bad shape as far as needing assistance. So we had a driver go out in 2014, and they came back in the spring. The veteran didn't have any water, pipes had frozen. It was
my goodness.
Horrible. So, I went to my then director at the time, Bob Klingenpeel, and I said, why aren't we helping veterans more? And he said, that's a great question. Why don't you look into that? So of that, and months of research and planning, and we brought John Johansson on board. At the time, he was a county commissioner. So we brought John on board, Bob and I, and we went to the Board of Commissioners, and they unanimously passed to create our own department for Veteran Affairs for the county. So we thought that was really great. So after that, we were all excited, and I had to go do a bunch of training and get accredited with the federal VA, so I could actually legally file claims for veterans. So that was a long process, but about a year later, we started actually being able to file claims and assist the veterans of Montcalm County.
Okay. So that was 2014,
At the December
15?
December of 2014 is when the board actually voted to stand the department up. And then, of course, I was kind of a program, if you will, under the Commission on Aging at the time, because we didn't have our own millage, so we kind of fell as a program under
another program,
the Commission on Aging.
Sure.
So, I stayed there a while, did a lot of things on my own for a long time. So fast forward 2018, we got a new director in, and I used a grant from the state, and we got a minivan.
Okay.
To help with transportation, because one of the biggest complaints that we had is we didn't even know you were here, and then the second biggest complaint was how do I get to my medical appointments?
Sure.
So we thought, wow, Commission on Aging has a bunch of volunteer drivers. Why don't we mimic that and bring that in for veterans? And they have to be honorably discharged and all that. But so we get the van. 2019, we have our very own van, and it started out. I only had 5 transportations that year for about 1,350 miles. But fast forward to now, we have a full-time driver. Indira actually does some driving for us as well. And this last year, we had 286 transportations for about 37, almost 38,000 miles.
Wow.
On the road. Yeah, that's
over 6 years. You've
pretty much
increased by thousands of percentage.
Yeah, the veterans in their benefits, obviously, compensation being the largest of the benefits. It's tax-free, and it's based on whether you had an illness or an injury while you were in service, while you were on active duty. It has to be on active duty.
Okay.
And so they'll come in and say, well, this happened to me back in 1968 or 1965, whenever I was in Vietnam. Blah,
sure.
Blah. So so we go back and we look in their files, their service treatment records, things like that, and we try to verify. Oh, yep, right there, you were treated for
what he's talking
diabetes,
about, or she's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. or you had a higher than normal blood sugar in this report. So then we can start tagging that all together and using that for our evidence to file the claim. So a veteran files a claim, the VA gets it, and 5 or 6 months down the road, the VA makes a decision. If the veteran's granted, they're going to get a tax-free monetary benefit monthly.
Okay.
And they'll get that retroactive pay to when we started the claim to where it is now. So they could get 5 or 6 months of retroactive pay.
Okay.
So that's the largest. Then we have veterans pension, which is a smaller, it's more of a monetary or financial based. So a veteran has to be pretty much in dire straits to qualify for pension. But there are some exceptions. We can use medical expenses, assisted living, nursing home, any of that. If they're on a lot of expensive medications, the VA doesn't typically like to use medications, but if it's something like insulin that somebody's going to be on forever, then they will take those.
Okay.
So we have that. We have the VA healthcare. We have VA education or education benefits. We have VRNE, voc rehab, where if you are unable to do, like if you were a truck driver and you did it in the military and you came home, you had your CDL, I'm going to drive truck. Well, you get to the point where you can't drive truck anymore. Well, now you can apply for voc rehab, and the VA will give you money to go learn to do something else.
Okay,
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What about housing and things like that?
We have the VA. We can help assist. We don't deal with the VA home loan per se. What we do is we file for a certificate of eligibility. That just means that the veteran, when they go to their financial institution or their mortgage company, whoever they're getting their home loan through, gives them that certificate, and that means the VA is going to guarantee a certain amount of money if the veteran defaults on the home.
Okay.
So.
And repairs and things like that, do you help out with that at all?
We do. We have an emergency relief program. It used to be called the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Fund. And when the county got into its financial crisis in 2016, we didn't renew the Headley. The Headley override just means we can pull X amount of mills, and that didn't pass, so we had to drop back.
Okay.
Obviously, things had to be cut. And emergency relief for the soldiers and sailors, actually, that funding got cut. So when we went for our millage in 2020, we reestablished it as a veterans emergency relief.
Okay.
So if they need a roof repair, or they have a well that went bad, hot water heater, furnace. Usually the furnace is in the wintertime. That's one of our biggest.
One.
Yeah, getting people, getting their heat back and getting people out there as soon as possible. So we eliminated a lot of those steps. As the director, I can authorize up to $3,000 for a repair or car repair or whatever the veteran needs to get back to work or help them help themselves. Anything above that goes to our advisory board.
Okay.
And our advisory board will discuss. We just take up a kind of a sanitized version of what the veteran needs, and they will discuss whether that would be a good use of the money.
The money or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It is taxpayer money, and we do have to watch. We have to be
accountable for it.
Accountable, yes.
Sure.
Yes.
And you want to make sure you're doing all the right things so you can continue to do it.
Yes.
Make sure the veterans are taken care of.
Absolutely.
Now, you are located in Stanton. How long have you been in your location in the office?
We moved up there in April of 2021.
Okay.
We're at the administration building at 211 West Main Street in Stanton. The old county courthouse on the hill, they call it the administration building now.
I love that old building.
Yeah, as soon as we got up there, the maintenance director come and found me and said, "Hey, I have a sign, and you should put this up out in one of the parking spaces. We'll give you a parking space." And so it's veteran parking only, so we have a spot right up there next to the handicap where our veterans can come up and park.
Makes it official.
Yes.
I like it. So, and then you said you had some training to do to make sure you're following all the rules and filling out the forms right?
Yes.
Did that take you quite a long time?
It's about a week-long course,
Okay.
about a 40-hour course, where you start right from the beginning, and you move your way right on to the conclusion of the claim, I guess. And then they teach you how to do appeals if we file a claim and it goes badly, or we didn't send the right evidence, or we didn't have the evidence at the time, but after we filed the claim, we received the evidence, and the VA denies it. We can go back and we can appeal it and hopefully overturn that for the veteran.
It's almost like Social Security.
Yes.
You get
Yep.
denied for that
Yep.
so many times, I've heard, and then you just keep going
And
and
then-
keep going and pushing through.
Yeah, and then you have those specialists out there that will actually tell you what you did wrong,
Okay.
and they will help you refile or
The correct
appeal
way,
it.
or
Yep.
sure.
So, and that's what our folks in our office do. We're really good at helping guide the veteran through all the red tape, because it's the federal government, and there's
Lots
a
of
bit
red
it.
tape.
There's a bit of it. Yeah.
Now, earlier when we first started talking, you said one of the biggest complaints, we didn't know you were here.
Yes.
So we try to tell people everything, and, we're kind of a unique situation where we've partnered in kind of a few different layers.
Yes.
Because Indira
Yes.
works for us, she works for you.
Yep.
We parade together.
Mm-hmm. We sure do.
Yep. You come in on the morning show and talk to Jim a lot of times and tell him what's going on. Funny with Indira, because she came to the radio station, she was actually taking care of Jim's dad at the time when he was getting older. So she's a unique one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love Indira.
Yeah, yep. She's our administrative assistant, so she's the first person everybody gets to talk to when they call, and she does a great job in interacting with the veterans, and that was one of the reasons why we hired her on, because just the personality in dealing, or veterans come in, sometimes they're a little agitated, so she can talk to them and kind of get them calmed down a little bit, and because the federal government usually makes our veterans a little
Angry
bit
and upset
angry, a
and-
little bit.
Or confused, or,
Yes.
there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. Speaking of phone numbers, she's the first one to call. What is that number?
That is 989-831-7477.
Okay, excellent. Call Indira. She'll help you. Or if you have a vet that you know that needs help, give Indira a call, and she'll get you pointed in the right direction.
And in this, in the age of social media, we have our Facebook page too, at Montcalm Vets.
Okay.
And they can also find more information about us and what we do on montcalm.us, and then go to the departments tab and scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're the very last one. It'll say Veteran Services on it. So.
Excellent. And if you don't feel like scrolling, just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Give them a phone call.
Yeah. Just give us a call. Yeah, that's why we're here. We're here to help.
I like it. We've learned a little bit about you, behind the office door, the business side of you. Have you been in Montcalm County your whole life?
I have.
All right.
I have. Born and raised. Lived in Stanton for a majority of my life. Moved around Sheridan, Greenville. I reside in Edmore now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've been here my whole life. Served in Greenville with the 1073rd for my entire career, in the military for 12 years. So,
It's home.
This place is home, and that's what they said. You're going to serve in your backyard, and that's what I wanted to do. And military kind of flipped the script on us a little bit, where they started moving us, where if you want to get promoted, you have to move to, if you're at one spot too long, you kind of get in a rut.
Sure.
And they like to pick you up and move you around. But luckily, I never had to get transitioned anywhere. So I got to stay right here in Greenville, and
They do the same thing with DJs.
yeah,
You're all over the place.
yeah, I've heard that.
DJs,
that.
military, airline.
Yeah.
You're going.
Yeah, all over the place.
So what about Montcalm County? Why are you glad you're still here?
That's just always been home.
Sure.
My wife's from Greenville, so we can't afford to move to Ireland yet. Anyway, so
Ireland's the goal,
Yeah.
the dream goal.
yeah, I'd love to live there. I mean, it's rainy most of the time, but
It's okay. They've got good cows.
yeah, they do. And great butter.
Yep, definitely the Irish butter. Have you ever had that? I
Yes.
mean, oh man,
Yeah, use it all the time.
so good. Biggest success story, like you've seen a vet turn around and just.
Vet came in prior to 2018. Bladder cancer is not a presumptive condition, so trying to get bladder cancer for a veteran for one of their disabilities is extremely difficult. I mean, it pretty much had to be diagnosed with it in service, and then have it affect them outside of service. So the VA added that here not too long ago, 2018. And that year I had a veteran come in prior to it being passed. And I'm sorry, it was 2016. Filed a claim for the veteran. Sent it in. Of course, they denied it. Because 2018 comes around, they add it as a presumptive. So I immediately called the veteran, had him come right back in. We filed the appeal, and it was granted. And the great thing about it was they went back to when the veteran initially filed his claim.
Okay, so 2 years.
So his retroactive pay, and they both called and they were crying, and I was just on the phone and I was smiling ear to ear because I was so happy for them.
Sure.
Because they were trying to get this for a long time. And so they called in, they got a $140,000 retroactive payment.
I bet they were crying.
That's
so happy.
And a lot of what we do, whether, we be as successful as we can, as much of the time as we can, but sometimes we have to appeal and sometimes it takes time. But this is life-changing money for people.
Heck yeah, it is.
I mean, you go from, a small Social Security check or two small Social Security checks and try to live in the, in the economy that we have is really, really tough. And they come in and see us, and then we get them, $1,000, $1,500 a month extra.
They can buy fresh fruit finally.
It's life-changing money. And they can finally afford to have this fixed and that fixed and
take care of
a new car.
themselves.
So it's just seeing those people go from that coming in and not trusting the government and being really upset to, thanking us and bringing us cookies to share with the rest of the office. And it's, that's the best feeling is when you help that veteran and
they appreciate
we got it. We got it.
Well, and for you to call 2 years later and just know, that says something about your office.
That one really, I was kind of miffed on that one because he did have a lot of medical evidence. He did have a statement from his doctor saying that it was most likely his exposure to Agent Orange that caused it. But at the time, it's not a presumptive condition, so the VA does not have to
take care of it.
They don't have to accept it, and they could say no, this is denied. And so he comes back in, and we did that and sent it out, and poof, granted. And
Like
so that's
that.
a win, because we like to beat up on the federal government every now and again.
Well, if it needs to be done, it needs to be done,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They deserve it. Our vets deserve everything that they can get.
They sure do.
Yeah.
And now with all the PACT Act stuff out, all the presumptive conditions for burn pits and all that fun stuff. So I'm glad that all came about, and we're working pretty hard right now. We got a lot of veterans. We have almost 4,000 veterans in our county alone. We actually have. Oh, that's something that people may not know. We have the highest population of veterans in all the surrounding counties, with the exception of Kent.
Really?
Yep.
That is a very interesting fact.
It fluctuates. When I started actually recording numbers and stuff back in 2015, we had 4,700 veterans, almost 4,800. And then, of course, guys, World War II, we started losing them at a pretty high rate of speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're starting with Korean veterans and Vietnam veterans. Now we're starting to go. So our population goes down, but it fluctuates because we got a lot more active duty service members that didn't want to come back here because, well, there's no help for veterans in our county. Well, now there's help in the county for veterans, so, hey, I'm just going to move back home.
Sure.
That's where I grew up. That's where I want to be.
And that's where my support system is and
Yes.
everything else.
Yep, absolutely.
And now they have you.
So we're just under 4,000 right now for population, but still, that's a significant amount of people, veterans especially. And now that we're here and we're able to assist them with their claims and with the certificate of eligibility and education and all that stuff, that's attracting a lot more back.
Good.
So hopefully, the rate we're losing veterans, we're going to start gaining them back.
At a higher rate.
Hopefully. So once, depends on how many people coming off active duty. Some of them make a career out of it. So we might not see a veteran if they enlisted this past year right out of high school, we won't see them for 20 years.
20 years, sure.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've got your office and everything set up, but do you have any open house days where you go, like maybe to a VFW or a Legion? And
We haven't yet. We have discussed that. We have discussed having like a laptop and mobile lab, that sort of thing that we can take out in the field, and have people come in and start
just like
start
a
a
group
cl-
thing,
they
start
don't
a
have to.
conversation.
Well, yeah, like a festival or something.
Sure.
We're trying to think of how we can do that. Like with Stanton Old Fashioned Days or some of the other festivals around the county, that where we could go and insert ourselves into a larger population of people, and hopefully get, even if it's just getting them initially going.
Just getting the information out there to people.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I like it. Information's what it's all about. Working together, making the community stronger,
That's right.
and definitely supporting our veterans.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much, Trevor.
Oh, you're welcome.
Again, Cara Stevens on M1063, WGLM, local hometown radio. Trevor Wright, Montcalm County Veterans Affairs Office. Hopefully we keep working together, and we will definitely do more podcasts for Discover Montcalm, because that's what it's all about. Community, supporting community. You can find all of the Discover Montcalm podcasts on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, at discovermontcalmpodcast.com. And if you know of someone, or if you have an idea, give us a ring, hit us up, send us an email, give us a call, send us a podcast. We'd love to discover Montcalm County with you. And remember, buy and shop locally, tip your bartenders and waitresses.
The Discover Montcalm podcast is brought to you by WGLM 106.3 FM, Be More Media, Busy Bees Embroidery and Vinyl Signs, West Michigan Technology and Design Solutions, and DW Video. Connect and follow the Discover Montcalm podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Check out all our episodes at discovermontcalmpodcast.com. We look forward to featuring your business, community, nonprofit, events, and more. Contact Dwayne at 231-250-9624, 231-250-9624. Thank you for tuning in and following the Discover Montcalm podcast.